Welcome back to the channel, tennis fans. Today, we are unpacking one of the most astonishing, dramatic, and ultimately heartbreaking matches of the entire 2026 season. We are talking about a match that had absolutely everything. Brilliant shot making, a raucous, passionate crowd, a grueling 20-minute single game, and a final set momentum shift that left everyone inside the Linder Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio, in absolute shock. I am talking, of course, about the WTA 1000 Cincinnati Open third-round clash between the 21-year-old rising superstar from the Philippines, Alexandra Eala, and the world number 10, the incredibly powerful American Amanda Anisimova. If you look at the final scoreline on paper, you see Anisimova winning 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. It looks like a standard, hard-fought three-set victory for the seeded American. But numbers on a screen do not tell the true story of this absolute marathon. They do not capture the emotional roller coaster that this 2-hour and 28-minute battle truly was. Because if you were watching live, if you were part of that massive Filipino crowd cheering on their hero, you know that this match was firmly in the grasp of Alex Eala. She was up 2 games to love in the final, deciding set. She had broken the American serve. She had the momentum. She was hitting blistering backhand winners. She could taste the 4th round. She could taste her 6th consecutive victory against a top 10 player in the world. And then the unthinkable happened. She lost 6 consecutive games. 6 straight games to crash out of the tournament. Today, we are going to dive incredibly deep into this match. We are going to analyze exactly how Eala built her lead, the tactical brilliance she displayed in that phenomenal first set, the physical toll of the brutal baseline exchanges, and ultimately, the complete system failure in the final stages of the third set. What went wrong? Was it a physical collapse from the sheer exhaustion of a marathon match? Was it a mental block, the immense pressure of the WTA 1000 stage suddenly weighing down on her shoulders? Or did Amanda Anisimova simply channel the experience that took her to the Wimbledon and U.S. Open finals just last year in 2025 and flip a switch that Eala simply could not match? We're going to break down the tactics, the serve percentages, the heavy, flat ground strokes, and the psychology of momentum in professional tennis. The sport of tennis is uniquely brutal. Unlike basketball or football, there is no clock to run out. You cannot simply hold on to the ball and wait for the buzzer to sound when you have a lead. You have to win the final point. You have to step up to the baseline, toss the ball into the air, and execute, no matter how heavy your legs feel, no matter how fast your heart is beating. And when a player like Anisimova has her back against the wall, down a break in the third set, the dynamic changes, the pressure shifts. We saw a masterclass in aggressive, fearless tennis from the American, and we saw a painful yet invaluable lesson learned by the young Filipino sensation. Eala came into this match riding an absolute high. She is having a career year. Ranked number 20 in the world at just 21 years old, she has transformed from a promising junior into a legitimate force on the women's tour. She carried a sparkling 9-5 overall record against top 10 players into this contest, with 7 of those massive wins coming this season alone. Eala was not an underdog just hoping to survive. She was a genuine contender expecting to win. The crowd knew it. Anisimova knew it. The atmosphere was electric, matching the high stakes of a tournament that serves as the ultimate proving ground right before the U.S. Open in New York. The stage was set perfectly for another chapter in the legend of Alex Eala. But tennis is a game of fine margins, where a lead can evaporate in a matter of minutes, and a match that feels entirely in your control can suddenly spiral into an unstoppable avalanche for your opponent. That is the mystery we are unpacking today. How does a world-class player, armed with incredible momentum and a 2-game lead in the decisive set, suddenly lose 6 games in a row? Grab a seat and settle in, because we're going deep into the Cincinnati night to uncover exactly what happened to Alex Eala. Let us rewind the tape and go back to the very beginning, to the opening set, because understanding the foundation of this match is crucial to understanding how it ended. The tension was palpable from the very first ball strike. Eala, seeded 17th in the tournament, came out of the gates with an aggressive mindset. She was not intimidated by Anisimova's pedigree or her top 10 ranking. Eala established her court position early, taking the ball early on a rise and trying to rob the American of the time she needs to set up her devastating, heavy flat ground strokes. The first 4 games were an intense feeling-out process, a tactical chess match as both women traded blows from the baseline, holding serve and testing each other's movement. It was 2-all, and then came the 5th game. This game alone is a massive piece of the puzzle. It turned into an instant classic, a grueling, lung-busting, 20-minute and 11-second marathon. Just think about that. Over 20 minutes for a single game. It featured a staggering 13 deuces. Anisimova, applying immense pressure on Eala's serve, generated 8 break points. 8 separate occasions where the American was one swing away from taking control of the first set. But this is where we saw the phenomenal fighting spirit of Alex Eala. Facing break point after break point, Eala refused to blink. She found her first serve when she needed it most. She engaged in brutal, extended rallies, refusing to yield an inch of baseline territory. The mental fortitude required to stave off 8 break points in a single game, especially against a lethal returner like Anisimova, is astronomical. When Eala finally held serve take a 3-2 lead, the roar from the Filipino crowd was deafening. It felt like a monumental shift in momentum. It was a statement of intent. She was telling the world number 10, "You are going to have to go to war to take my serve." That 20-minute game took a physical toll on both players, but it was Eala who capitalized on the emotional high. Even though Anisimova briefly leveled the score at 3 games apiece, the psychological damage of those missed opportunities seemed to linger for the American. Eala answered with a brilliant 3-game surge, dictating play with her forehand and effectively neutralizing Anisimova's power. Eala closed out the opening set 6-4, emphatically sealing it with a stunning, powerful backhand winner. It was a flawless execution of her game plan. She won the critical points. She protected her serve under immense duress, and she struck first in this heavyweight bout. The momentum was firmly in her corner. As we moved into the second set, the rhythm felt eerily similar. Eala continued to ride the wave of the crowd's energy. She was moving beautifully, anticipating Anisimova's shots and counterpunching with devastating accuracy. Once again, Eala built a 3-2 advantage. She was dictating the tempo. But world-class players like Amanda Anisimova do not stay down for long. This is where the match began its subtle yet undeniable shift. Anisimova, realizing that trying to out-rally Eala from neutral positions was a losing battle, decided to up the aggression. She started taking massive cuts at the ball, flattening out her strokes to rob Eala of any time to react. The American's heavy, flat serve, which had been somewhat inconsistent in the first set, suddenly clicked into gear. She started hitting her spots with terrifying precision. Down 3-2, Anisimova dug deep into her reserves and found another level. She won 4 of the next 5 games, breaking Eala's serve and holding her own with commanding authority. The second set slipped away from Eala, ending 4-6. The match was tied. The crowd was tense. The marathon was heading into a deciding third set. Now we arrive at the critical juncture. The third set, the stage where champions are forged and where the sheer physical and mental exhaustion of a 2.5-hour battle truly reveals itself. Despite losing the second set, Eala showed tremendous resilience at the start of the decider. She did not let the disappointment linger. Instead, she came out firing. She opened the third set with a brilliant return game, breaking Anisimova's serve right out of the gate behind back-to-back backhand winners. She backed it up by holding her own serve. Eala was up 2 games to love. The Filipina sensation was entirely in the driver's seat. She had weathered the storm of the second set, reset her focus, and regained the break advantage. Statistically, psychologically, historically, a 2-love lead in the third set puts the leading player in a massively advantageous position. But what followed was a catastrophic collapse that will be analyzed by Eala's coaching team for weeks to come. How did 2-love turn into 2-6? How did she lose 6 consecutive games? The answer lies in a combination of Anisimova's tactical adjustment, Eala's fatiguing legs, and the immense psychological weight of closing out a massive match. Down 2-love, Anisimova essentially threw caution to the wind. She realized that playing safe was not going to win her the match. She fully unleashed her heavy, flat serve. It began overwhelming Eala's return game. The American started getting massive free points on her first serve, totally disrupting Eala's rhythm. When Eala did manage to get the return back in play, Anisimova was stepping inside the baseline and cracking the ball with relentless depth and pace. But it wasn't just Anisimova's brilliance. It was also Eala's sudden drop in intensity. The statistics tell a grim story of those final 6 games. Eala's first serve percentage hovered around 58% for the match, meaning she had to rely heavily on her second serve. Against a player like Anisimova, a second serve is a massive liability. The American pounced on every short ball. Over the course of the match, Eala hit 7 double faults, and several of those costly errors crept in during that agonizing final stretch. Her legs, which had carried her through that brutal 20-minute game in the first set, finally seemed to grow heavy. The footwork that allowed her to hit those backhand winners early in the set became just a fraction of a second too slow. She started arriving late to the ball, resulting in critical unforced errors. Tennis is a game of momentum, and momentum is a fragile, terrifying thing. When Anisimova broke back to make it 2-1, the pressure shifted back onto Eala. When Anisimova held serve to make it 2-all, the momentum had completely evaporated. Suddenly, the racket feels like it weighs 50 pounds. The court feels like it is shrinking. Every shot Anisimova hit seemed to land exactly on the baseline, while Eala's shots started catching the tape or sailing wide. The mental mountain became too steep to climb. Anisimova won the 5th game, the 6th game, the 7th game. By the time it was 5-2, the belief had visibly drained from Eala. The final point perfectly encapsulated the tragic end to her run. Anisimova served heavy and deep, and Eala committed 2 unforced return errors on the final points to hand the match to the American 6-2. 2 hours and 28 minutes of grueling combat, ending in a flash of 6 straight games. Eala managed to win 12 games total, while Anisimova claimed 16 by the time they shook hands. This was not a choke in the traditional sense. It was a result of an incredibly high-level tennis match, where one player's peak performance perfectly intersected with the other player's physical and mental fatigue. Amanda Anisimova played her absolute best tennis of the match when she was down 2-love in the 3rd. She served better, she hit harder, and she refused to miss. Eala, conversely, experienced a system failure. Her serve deserted her. Her footwork slowed down, and the relentless pressure from across the net finally cracked her defense. It is also vital to look at the broader context of Eala's season to understand why this loss hurt so much. She came into this match with all the confidence in the world. She had just demolished her previous opponent, Elena Gabriela Ruse, forcing an early retirement in a merciless 6-1, 3-love demolition. She was playing aggressively, hitting her spots, and moving with the grace of a seasoned veteran. Her record against the elite players of the world has been staggering. To have a 9-5 winning record against top 10 opponents at the age of 21 is a statistical anomaly. It speaks to her massive potential and her fearless mentality. She does not play not to lose. She plays to win. She steps onto the court expecting to trade heavy blows with the best in the world. And for 2.5 sets against Amanda Anisimova, she did exactly that. She was the better player for the first set. She was equal in the second. She was ahead in the third. But the jump from top 20 to top 10 in the world is not about how well you play your best tennis. It is about how well you play your worst tennis, and how you manage the inevitable dips in energy and focus during a 3-hour match. Eala's best tennis is easily top 10 level. We saw it when she saved 8 break points. We saw it when she hit backhand winners on the run. The area for growth, the brutal lesson learned on the hard court of Cincinnati, is game management when the tank is running on empty, when the first serve stops landing, when the legs refuse to push off with the same explosive power. A champion must find an ugly way to win. They must find a way to disrupt the opponent's rhythm, perhaps by changing the height of the ball, introducing slices, or simply slowing down the pace of play to catch their breath. During that catastrophic 6-game slide, Eala continued to try and hit her way out of trouble. She continued to try and match Anisimova's power, even when she was a step slow to the ball. She played right into the American's hands. Anisimova thrives on pace. When Eala fed her pace, Amanda simply redirected it with compound interest. It was a tactical stubbornness born out of youthful confidence, and it cost her the match. So, where does Alex Eala go from here? What is the ultimate takeaway from a match that promised so much and ended in such a stunning, abrupt fashion? The immediate emotion is, undoubtedly, crushing disappointment. To be that close to the fourth round of a WTA 1000 event, to have a top 10 player on the ropes, and to let it slip away is a bitter pill to swallow. It will sting. It should sting. But when the dust settles, when she and her coaching staff review the tape, they will find a massive amount of positive reinforcement hidden within the heartbreak. First and foremost, let's talk about the respect she has commanded on the tour. Amanda Anisimova is not a player who hands out praise lightly. Following the match, Anisimova was quick to acknowledge the sheer quality of her opponent, publicly stating how demanding the match was and expressing immense respect for Eala as a fighter. She also noted the incredible passion of Eala's fan base, which turns every stadium she plays in into a home match. When a player of Anisimova's caliber recognizes you as a legitimate threat and a warrior on the court, it validates everything Eala has been working toward. She is no longer just a rising prospect. She is a present-day danger to anyone in the draw. Furthermore, despite the early exit in the round of 32, this tournament is far from a failure. Eala's performance in Cincinnati has guaranteed her vital ranking points that will boost her standings in the world rankings. Every match played at this level, every grueling rally, every pressure-packed breakpoint, is an investment in her future. The sting of losing 6 straight games will serve as incredibly powerful fuel. The next time she finds herself up 2-love in the third set against a top-tier opponent, she will remember the Lindner Family Tennis Center. She will remember the heavy feeling in her legs and the sound of Anisimova's flat ground strokes. And she will adjust. She will use this agonizing experience to build an even stronger mental fortress. At 21 years old, time is her greatest asset. The physical conditioning required to sustain peak performance for 3 full hours against the heaviest hitters on the tour takes years to develop. Her body will get stronger. Her stamina will improve. The tactical maturity to recognize a shifting momentum and alter her game plan mid-match will come with experience. What she already possesses, the elite shot-making, the fearless attitude, the ability to perform under the bright lights, cannot be taught. Those are the innate qualities of a future Grand Slam champion. The tennis calendar moves unforgivingly fast. There is no time to dwell on what could have been. The U.S. Open in New York is looming large, and Eala will head to Flushing Meadows as a seeded threat that nobody wants to see in their quarter of the draw. The hard courts of New York suit her aggressive baseline game perfectly. She has the weapons to hit through the heavy conditions, and she will undoubtedly have the massive support of the Filipino community backing her every single point. The story of Alexandra Eala is far from over. In fact, we are just entering the most exciting chapters. The Cincinnati Open was a masterclass in the brutal realities of professional tennis. It showed us her dazzling brilliance, and it exposed the small vulnerabilities that still exist in her game. It was a marathon defeat that will forge a tougher, smarter, and even more dangerous competitor. So, do not look at this loss as a setback. Look at it as a necessary fire that tempers the steel. She went toe-to-toe with one of the best in the world, dominated stretches of the match, and forced the world number 10 to play the tennis of her life just to survive. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of the most fascinating matches of the year. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me know down in the comments what you think Eala needs to do to close out these marathon matches in the future. Does she need to work on her fitness, or was this purely a tactical misstep against a surging Anisimova? I want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep watching, keep analyzing, and enjoy the beautiful, unpredictable game of tennis.